Welcome to this online course at Excelsior College. This course will be segmented into a number of learning modules, and I'd like to introduce you to some of the primary resources that will be available to you within each of these modules. Let's move to Module 1. Just to the left, we see a list of links to a number of other resources associated with this module. Let's move first to Learning and Assessment Activities. This exposes a list of resources, readings, and other learning activities which we'll be engaging in throughout this module. Let's find out how we access both required readings and homework assignments, Learn Smart and Connect assignments. Let's click on Assignments. This brings us to a list which contains two important resources. First, we have a link to the McGraw-Hill Connect library. All of the learning resources which are supplied along with our textbook by McGraw-Hill are available to us from this link. We also have a list of links to each of the required homework assignments that we'll be engaging in throughout this course. Let's click on the McGraw-Hill Connect library link. Here we can see to the far left-hand side we have a list of links to a number of resources. At the top of that list is a link which will take us to our e-book. A copy of the e-book is contained within your courseware. You may also order a physical copy of the book, or using the print function, you can copy and paste the text into Word. Each module will contain Learn Smart and Connect activities. Learn Smart helps you to build foundational skills. Connect allows you to apply your analytical knowledge of financial management. Let's look first at Learn Smart. Learn Smart is an adaptive learning tool that allows a student to move forward based on their demonstrated mastery of course content. Given this, it's assumed that you will have completed readings within your textbook, assigned readings relevant to the particular Learn Smart assignment you're engaging in prior to engaging in that Learn Smart assignment.
You haven't read anything yet. If you want, you can start to practice to see how well you know the topics in this chapter before you read. SmartBook will advise you to go back to reading if it looks like you do not know the topics very well.
Okay, so our narrator has introduced you to the character of Learn Smart. Learn Smart is a set of practice questions paired with assigned readings. The practice questions allow Learn Smart to assess A, the accuracy with which you answer questions, but B, as you can see here from the options that you're given in answering, the certainty that you have with respect to your answer. Thus, Learn Smart can measure your level of knowledge and certainty with respect to course material and supply you additional questions in areas where your knowledge is relatively shaky. As such, the number of assigned questions that are contained within Learn Smart will take you more or less time depending on your degree of prior preparation. Let's move on now to our Connect homework. Let's look at a typical question within Connect. Typical questions within Connect look somewhat like an online quiz. We can answer and check our work by clicking on the Check My Work link. You can see from a green check mark if you're correct in your answer. You can save and exit, or you can submit Thus, you don't have to complete these questions all at once. Let's move back to our McGraw-Hill library, and we'll look at a slightly more complex sort of connect question. Okay, let's move on to our connect homework for chapter 5. Here you see an example of a homework question. We must note here that all answers must be entered as a formula. We'll begin. Okay, so the question that we're asked here, you can see this looks like an Excel spreadsheet. The question that we're asked here asks us about present value. And we've been told that we're supposed to input our answer in terms of a formula. Let's look back at our readings. This assignment references chapter 5, present value. We can scroll down here in our relevant section of chapter 5 and find a summary of time value calculations. Here we have formulas regarding present value. This is not the sort of formula that we're looking at in terms of our Connect assignment. In fact, in your textbook, we have what are called spreadsheet strategies. Here, I put spreadsheet strategies in my search box. Go. This brings up within each chapter in our textbook the relevant spreadsheet strategies that we'll need to answer those Connect homework assignments. Let's look here at our spreadsheet strategies for present value. Okay, so you see spreadsheet strategies. I've highlighted the text here to note that you are introduced to some of the more tricky aspects of entering these formulas into Connect. These are the formulas that you're looking at for answering questions, Excel type questions in Connect. Let's just look back at this. Our present value in Excel, in order to indicate a formula to the program, we always put in equals. So here we're looking at present value. We're going to put equal PV, that's a present value function in Excel, and a set of parentheses around the parameters that we're going to enter for calculations to be made by Excel. Here we're going to be looking at the interest rate, the number of periods, the type of payment, which in this case we'll leave as a default, and then the future value. Here, where I've noted, we're told that one of the tricky things about these Excel formulas is that a negative sign must be entered on either present value or future values in order to solve these problems. So you'll see that at work in our Connect homework assignment. Here, our answer is going to rely on the grid pattern of Excel in order for our input. Our answer is equals present value, parenthesis, now we're looking at our rate. Our rate is centered in D9, so D9, comma, no space. Now we enter the next parameter, which, as you can see here, is the number of periods which we're looking at. That is D8. We're going to put a comma. For the payment, we're going to use a default payment, so we'll leave that blank and put another comma. Then for the type, for future value, we're going to put a negative, and future value is D7. Okay, the type we're going to leave as default. We are correct. Discussion activities allow you to examine course content critically and to determine how concepts introduced in the course will apply in a day-to-day working environment, and how course content is relevant to your activity as a manager. You'll be asked to role play and to consider situations from multiple perspectives. Once you've completed all assigned readings for a particular module and any assignments connected with that module, you'll be prepared to begin the module discussion. In order to ascertain what you'll be doing in the discussion and the tasks associated with that discussion, you'll have two sources of information. One is underneath the discussion link, where you're given detailed instructions, but another resource which I wanted to point your attention to is under the course information link. Here, if we just open up those resources, you can see that we have a series of rubrics applicable to every activity that you undertake in the course. Other assignments will include a short paper, which is a case study focusing on 4 main categories of financial ratio analysis. You'll move on to a series of milestones, the first of which asks you to consider 2 firms, one of which is considering purchasing the other. You'll use time and trend, peer group, and ratio analysis to compare these firms. In another milestone, milestone 2, you'll be asked to consider an alternative proposal and assess the degree of debt surrounding that proposal. In a final milestone, you'll be asked to determine the original firm's cash flows and value these against the purchase offer. You'll be asked to determine the overall attractiveness of the proposal using a number of financial and analytical techniques which you were introduced to in this course. Before we move on, I'd simply like to point out something important about the discussion activity. This activity allows students to interact with other students and their instructor as well. Have a great term and enjoy this course at Excelsior College.